Hello, this is Allie with the Perception Trainers, author of The Perception Diet, and today I want to talk about agitation and why it is one of my favorite negative emotions. Alright, so we've all felt agitation before in our lives, and I think that this is one of these absolute fundamental aspects of human experience. Agitation, frustration, that irritating sense that something is not right. And we don't know what it is, we can't really put our finger on it, but we know and we feel inside of ourselves and inside of our bodies and inside of our minds that we are not comfortable, we are not happy, we don't like what's going on. And oftentimes in our society, the way that we live right now, when we are experiencing agitation, that feeling of something's wrong, something's not right, I don't like this, something is irritating me, often what we do is we project it out onto the reality. That's our first thing that we go to. So we say, I just need to lose some weight, or I need to switch my diet, or I just need to stop playing so many video games, or I need to switch my job, or I need to leave this relationship, or I need to find a different relationship, or I gotta spend money and buy this, or I'm spending too much money, I gotta stop doing that, or I gotta buy more things, I gotta get rid of things, maybe I should move, maybe I should not move, maybe all of these things. And we go through this whole big list of trying to find the reason in the reality that we're so uncomfortable. And that makes perfect sense, because often, really, we have been trained to believe and to fully and fundamentally believe that how we feel is based on what we're going through circumstantially. And that is part of the consensus reality that all of us, most of us, are participating in. So when we feel agitated, most of us go about rearranging the furniture of our life, right? We go out and we say, okay, I'm going to quit the job, I'm going to do this, because it's the job, it's the body, it's the diet, it's the relationship, it's the house, it's the country, it's all these things. And I want to change all of those things, because if I do, I'll make myself feel better. The agitation is coming from the outside. Now, where this can get a little confusing, and I'm going to go into this, and why agitation is one of my favorite negative emotions, is because oftentimes, in truth, all right, we're going to go through a series of things. We're going to first realize that ultimately the agitation is sourced from within. It's not because of the external circumstance that we feel agitated. It's not because of the job, because of the relationship, because of the place we live. That's not the root cause of our agitation. The root cause of our agitation is that there is a part of us that wants to grow, that wants to change, that wants to expand, that is either not being fed, not being acknowledged, or is just in the growth process, and the growth process is sometimes frustrating. So this is the fundamental first and foremost key that we gotta know, all right? When you feel that agitation, that is a sign to go in first, all right? Because the bottom line is this: the reality that we live in, the current circumstances that we're in, are either something we literally, physically, ultimately cannot do anything about because it's part of our core curriculum, meaning it is something that we are going through right now because we need to go through it to learn something about the reality. And we could try with all of our might to find a different job, and we're just going to keep choosing the same job over and over and over again, even though we think we're going to a different job, because it's part of our curriculum. We're going to think we're going to move into a different relationship, and it's the same relationship. We're going to try a new diet, and we're going to end up feeling just like how we're feeling right now, just like we've done 100 million times. We are not able to shift the reality until our perception has been shifted, and sometimes the situations that are in our life are there for a reason. They're there to show us something that we're not seeing. So that's the first thing. And, right, it's part of the core curriculum. The thing that's there is to teach you something. Whatever's in your reality right now is there to teach you something. It's there to show you something. It is not a mistake. And even if it's uncomfortable, and even if you don't like it, it's not to say that you're going to eventually get to a place where you feel great about it. Okay, so we're going to keep going with this. But just to understand that it's there for a reason, and it's there to teach you something. There is a purpose to everything in your life. It is teaching you something about the reality that you need to know in order to create the life that aligns with you. All right, so the second thing to understand is that agitation is a part of you that is bumping up against living in a way that is not in alignment with the person that you are becoming. So agitation is always the sign that you are expanding into a greater, more authentic, more aware aspect, into a more aware expression of who you truly are. But you're not quite there yet. So think of it like when a baby is learning to walk from crawling. We watch them, and oftentimes they are just very frustrated through the entire process. That feeling that they just know they can walk, they know they can do it. They are so convinced of their capacity to walk. They're watching everyone else walk. They don't want to crawl anymore, but they're not quite strong enough. They're not quite coordinated enough. They haven't quite made all those neural connections within their mind and within their body to be able to walk. And there's that agitation, there's that frustration, there's that, I know that's right, but I'm not quite there. And that's exactly what we experience through our entire lives. If we're on a growth path, if we're not on, it doesn't matter. Everyone is going to feel that impetus to grow, that impetus to expand, that impetus to become a new version of yourself, a more authentic version of yourself, a more expanded, a more evolved, a more complex version of yourself. That's always going to happen to you for the rest of your life. And that's what that agitation is a signal of. There is a seed of the next version of you that has been watered by a life experience. All right? So take that metaphor. We are like a garden full of seeds. So this is why when spiritual teachers tell you you already have everything that you're ever going to be, you already have everything, you're already there. Okay. This is what they mean. The seeds for who you are to become are all already there. Everything that you are going to expand into, that you have the potential to expand into, is all there within you. It's in your DNA. It's in your makeup. It's there. Now, just like a seed that's lying dormant, it needs to be watered to be activated. So we need to think of our life experiences, everything that we go through, these things in our reality that we are considering agitating, the job, the relationship, the body, the diet, all these things, the core curriculum that we're facing, that is the water that activates that seed. Okay? So when we go through things that agitate us, when we go through things, when we have something and then it was fine for a while and then all of a sudden it's agitating, you need to think, okay, this is first and foremost an internal shift that's taking place. This is something in me that wants to grow and expand just got activated. Everything was fine and now it isn't. Yeah, internal. The circumstance is awakening a part of myself that has been lying dormant. That's what that is. So this is why it's not about the circumstance. It's not about changing things, but we go in first because we first must acknowledge and understand and deeply go into this part of ourself, this part of our awareness, this part of our understanding that wants to grow and expand. Okay? So it's a shift in your perspective. It's a shift in your view of yourself. It's a shift in your awareness. It's a shift in the amount of information you have about the reality. It literally is you gaining more information about who you are and how that fits into the reality, about the reality and how that fits into who you are. That's what growth is. That's what expansion is. It's new information that changes the way you see the world and therefore the way you act in the world. But if you try to change the circumstance before you allow the true, deep, perceptual awareness shift that is supposed to be happening within you to take place, if you try and change the outside before the inside has changed, you will not create change. You will actually shunt that seed from growing. You will essentially be trying to short circuit the process. Okay? So this is what I want to say, is that agitation that you feel about the things in your reality, oftentimes you are going to change your reality. But you first have to have the new information, the evolution of perception, the evolution of your understanding of reality and yourself. That has to occur first. That is the seed activating and sprouting. And then you get the tree. You don't get the tree before the roots go down. Okay, so think of it like that. The seed gets activated, the roots have to go down first. You have to understand first. Your perception has to shift first. It's an internal game first. And then we start to see it on the everyday plane. So let me give you an example from my own life, right? I used to live in Vancouver, Canada, working a receptionist job, cooking and cleaning and doing everything normal like everybody else. And I was incredibly agitated. I hated that life. And I tried so many times to get a new job, to move apartments, to shift my diet, to try and move the external reality around. I've done it all, just like everybody else. I've changed jobs, I've changed relationships, I've moved cities, I've moved apartments, I've switched my diet. Tried all of these external rearranging of the furniture things because I'm agitated first. And of course, there's a placebo effect, okay? So in the beginning, when you rearrange the furniture, it feels like something changed. Okay, good, I got the new job, I tried the new diet, I'm in the new relationship, we did all this, and it feels like, okay, that was a change and that feels good. However, I would always wind up back in that same agitation. This is actually the same as it was before. This job is really no different than the other one, I still feel the same. This relationship is really no different from the other ones, I feel the same, right? I started to notice that all this external reality shifting that I was trying to do wasn't actually shifting things. I was just making lateral moves. So I realized, okay, that's me. I'm not capable of actually making a new choice from my current level of understanding. As much as I really believe that my agitation is driving me to something different, it isn't. Because my reality was pretty much staying the same. Okay? Different job, same feeling. My life circumstances weren't really changing. That's really what I was saying here. It was still pretty much the same experience, still pretty much the same fishbowl. So what I did was I stopped trying to rearrange the furniture, and I just got really real about what was actually bothering me about what I was in, about what was actually bothering me about what was going on with me. And so every time there was a way that I was viewing myself and a way that I was viewing reality that was limited. All right? That was always what the root was. I had a false belief about myself, or I had a false belief about the reality. And due to those beliefs, I was operating from those false beliefs, which was keeping me in my current reality, in my current experience of reality. I did not believe I was worthy of something different. I could not make a different choice because I didn't even see that that was a possibility or potential, because it didn't align with my version of reality that I had. So when I say I went in, I really want you to understand, I just meditated. Why does this bother me so much? Why do I want to change? Why do I want a different boyfriend? Why do I want a different house? Why do I want a different job? Why do I want a different body? What do I think that's going to get me? And why don't I have it now? Why have I never been able to create that for myself? So that was the first thing. Observing reality. Observing what I believed about myself. And then, like I say, what are the stories I'm telling myself about the reality and about myself? And anything that felt bad. Okay, so this is the second key. You're feeling agitated. Go inside. Ask yourself, why? What is this? What am I believing? What am I seeing? Why do I think I have to be in this job? Why do I think I have to be in this body? Why do I think this is so awful? Blah, 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 blah. Ask yourself those questions. Then every time you come up with an answer and it feels negative, it feels bad, it feels harsh, it feels contracting, constricting, that's when we do that self-love work. Okay, that's obviously a false belief. If I'm believing it and it feels terrible, it's not real. So what is real? Why do I believe this? What could be something that feels better for me to believe? And you start to shift what you think about yourself and what you think about the reality. And right now, your reality is reflecting back to you the false belief. So you don't have evidence to support the new thing yet. And that's the third thing. You have to be willing to allow yourself to let go of these false beliefs that are painful in exchange for the ones that feel good, even though you don't have evidence, or you think you don't have evidence to support the new belief. Because that is exactly how you're living right now. You are aligning with your current version of what you believe yourself to be and what you believe the reality to be. It's not necessarily true about yourself or the reality. It's because you believe it and you live it and you make choices in alignment with those beliefs that cause your reality to look how it is. So you shift how you feel about yourself. You shift how you think about yourself. You shift how you think and feel about the reality. Then all of a sudden, new choices are available to you. So that was when I went from just jumping from low-level secretary jobs to trying something different. And what I tried was I made a blog and I started to present myself as an expert, right? So I shifted my view of myself. The view of myself that I had that was keeping me in those low-level jobs, which I don't really know anything, I'm not really that smart, I don't have anything to offer yet, I need more training, I need more this, I need more that, because I'm not worthy yet. So when I started to go in and realize, okay, well, that belief feels horrible, and I actually have done a lot of training, and I actually do have something to say, and maybe I'm not the most enlightened person in the planet, but I definitely have some information that other people don't have and that they are looking for. So can I start to offer that? So I started blogging, and then I started applying to other people's blogs to get my blog out there. And then I slowly put myself out there more and more as an expert and said, hey, this person was running an online company, and I said, do you want my help? I'll help you make meal plans. I'm a nutritionist, I can help you with that. And I just asserted myself kind of into the situation. And I took risks based on my new concept of myself. So I didn't fully have evidence yet that I'm capable of this, right? I never actually made meal plans before. I've never actually worked online before, but I'm pretty sure I can do it. And that aligns with my new version of myself that has information and can do these things. And so I did it. I put myself out there and I did something that aligned with the new version of myself that I wanted to be, not with who I thought I was. But I had to know who I thought I was and the belief that felt better in order to do that. So I did actions in alignment with this new version of myself that I wanted to be. So I didn't keep trying to stay viewing myself in the world the same way and creating a new reality for myself. That was never going to be an option. I had to shift how I viewed myself and the perception of my reality first. Then I could make choices that align with that new perception. And then all of a sudden my circumstances changed in a dramatic way, in a real way. I went from low-level secretary jobs to working online and being independent. That has led all the way to this whole new life that I'm living now. So, not rearranging the furniture of your life when you're agitated is not the same as saying, I'm never going to change my life and I just have to be okay with this. No. Is it about saying, the reason I am here, the reason I am agitated is because there's a part of myself that wants to grow. I need to change how I think about myself, how I think about the reality. I need to shift my understanding. I have to get new information, shift from old beliefs that don't feel good to new truths that align with who I am. And then I act from those new truths. And that is what creates a new reality. Because then, with this new version of yourself, you have more information, you are more complex, you are more aware, you are smarter, literally. You have more awareness of how the reality functions and more awareness of who you are. And then you make different choices based on that new perspective. And that is what changes things. So when I feel agitated, I know I'm about to grow. I know I'm about to shift an old limiting belief about myself and about the world. I'm about to let that go. So what's agitating me? Why? What do I believe about it? Whoa, how does that belief make me feel? It makes me feel terrible? Cool. What's the new belief that makes me feel awesome? How can I start to live in alignment with that? And then you start to gather evidence for that by your actions, and then your reality, you make different choices. It's not magic, right? It's not really that those online jobs didn't exist before I shifted my perspective. It's just that I couldn't see them because it wasn't on my radar of anything that I was qualified for. Does this make sense to you? Shift first inside. Let that seed grow. What's the false belief that's holding you in the position you're in right now? How can you shift your belief of that? And then sometimes, like I say, there will be times when it's like, oh, this isn't as bad as I thought it was. It was just my belief about it that hurt. Sometimes it's going to be like, great, new thing. Both of those things are possible. But you will only know if you let that seed grow first. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, do that. Like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you in the next video.